Hi friends, welcome or welcome back. It's time to talk about another month of reading. I read 9 books in the month of April, and honestly overall it was a pretty average reading month. There was nothing that was really good or really bad. It was all just kind of in the middle. So let's jump into them now. The first book that I read this month is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters, and honestly this is not something that I normally would have picked up on my own, but it was a book club pick for a book club that I am part of, so I read it. And I was severely disappointed by this book because on Goodreads it is listed as a mystery thriller, and that is a total and complete lie. So basically this is about a young child that goes missing and her family members who kind of never give up hope that she is still out there somewhere. And then there is a woman who is kind of living her life learning about her family and starting to notice that she looks a little bit different than her parents and is wondering about her heritage. And I mean, it's all right there in the synopsis. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious what is going on. And the story was fine. It was well written. It was okay. In general, the large consensus among my book club was that most people didn't like it at all. Some enjoyed it but didn't love it. But yeah, there were no resounding really high marks for this book, unfortunately. I gave it 2 stars. I probably gave it a lower rating because I was so mad that it called itself a mystery thriller and there's absolutely no mystery in it. But yeah, it was written fine. It was not for me. It was not an astounding book by any means. It was just fine. Next, I read The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and this is not my first Ruth Ware book. I am a pretty big fan of hers. I wouldn't say they're my absolute favorites, but I really enjoy reading Ruth Ware's works. And this is about a woman named Rowan who is kind of miserable at work. She works at a daycare and she hates it there. She got passed over for a promotion and she's just kind of casually looking at job postings one day and notices a nanny posting and she thinks it would be perfect. So she goes and applies, gets the job, and moves in to nanny these children. And what she doesn't know is that she is moving into a smart house that is, everything is controlled by technology. There are no light switches, there are just like control panels by the door of every room, stuff like that. And this house also has some serious legends about it and mysteries that have surrounded the house many times over the years. A lot of people say that the house is haunted because a lot of tragedies have happened there. And as Rowan is left with these children alone while their parents have to go away on a business trip, a lot of weird stuff starts happening. She thinks some of the kids are kind of creepy themselves, and she's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Ultimately, I would say this is probably not one of my favorite Ruth Ware books. Mostly, I think it has nothing to do with the writing. I think I just wasn't interested in the subject matter of nannying, you know. I didn't really love the creepy kid as a villain or, you know, a potential villain. Yeah, it's just, that's not really my thing. Creepy children aren't really a trope that I kind of go for a lot. In the end, I don't really see another way that it could have ended, but I didn't love the way it ended. It felt like the natural way to end things, but also it wasn't my favorite. So I gave this 4 stars because ultimately, while it wasn't my favorite, Ruth Ware still did her thing and took us on a great ride, and I really, really enjoyed my time reading it, but I didn't really love the story in the end. You will see a very heavy mystery thriller theme in my April reads because the next book that I read is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. And I have been lucky enough to receive ARCs, or advanced reader copies, of all of Stuart Turton's books. He has only written 3, but I have been able to read ARCs of all of them, and I feel so lucky because of that, because I love his work. He is a wonderful writer. He writes mysteries, but there are so many layers to them that your brain is just going on a wild ride throughout the whole thing, and he really takes you all over the place as you're trying to figure out these mysteries. So The Last Murder at the End of the World actually comes out May 21st, so keep an eye out for it. And it is a mystery, but it also has kind of a very, very tiny sci-fi element to it, in that it takes place at a time when humanity has pretty much like perfected almost everything in science. There is the scientific advancements have been so amazing. People now have the ability, they can heal pretty much any disease. They have all kinds of advancements that have absolutely changed and improved the way that humans live. But one day, this fog starts coming out of the ground and destroying people, basically. The fog is full of these insects that if you go inside the fog, they pretty much eat you. And people fled, people were destroyed by the fog. It was mass chaos, pretty much. And then one day, a science community, a science research center, sent out a message and said, we have found a way to put up a barrier against the fog. If you can get here to this island that we're on, get here, we will keep you safe, we'll let you inside, and we will keep you safe. So they collect whatever humans can make it, and now we are a few decades after this has happened, and humanity is surviving on this island. They are the only humans left in the entire world, and they are tasked with staying alive and working as hard as they can to maintain this barrier and to support the remaining scientists so that they can one day finally figure out a way to defeat this fog and humans can go back out into the world and repopulate the Earth. But one day, one of their leaders dies, and it turns out that it looks like it might have been a murder. And things take off from there. There is so much intrigue, there are so many twists and turns. It is such a good book. The only problem I have is that there was one thing that was mentioned that they never came back to it, and they never explained it, and it really upset me. I just really want to know the answers to this question that was never answered. But otherwise, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. However, I recommend Stuart Turton's first book, which is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Actually, I believe internationally it is called The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, but in the US it is called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is Stuart Turton's first book, and oh my gosh, it's so good. The Last Murder at the End of the World was phenomenal as well, but just not quite as amazing as the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Please, if you think you would like to go on an absolutely wild ride solving a mystery, read this book, and then please talk to me about it. Next up is, surprise, surprise, another mystery thriller, and that is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. This was another book club pick that I had to read for a different book club that I'm in, and it tells the story of a young teen mother named Tallulah who goes on a date one night with her boyfriend and the father of her child and never returns. Now, her mother never gives up on searching for Tallulah and is always thinking that Tallulah is out there, and she is begging the police to keep searching for her. And another perspective we have in this book is a woman named Sophie who has moved in with her boyfriend, who is the head teacher, kind of like a headmaster, I think, at a boarding school. And when they move in, she finds a sign attached to their back gate that says, "Dig here." And so she does. And this leads to Sophie becoming entangled in the disappearance of Tallulah and kind of becoming a detective in her own little sense, trying to figure out what happened all those months ago. This was good. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the reading process. However, I did not like the way it ended. I thought it wrapped up in a kind of weird way. And yeah, I was not a fan of the way it ended. I gave this 4 stars because in general I really, really liked it for most of the book, and then just the way it ended was to me. But I will definitely give Lisa Jewell another try. I know she has some books out there that are really, really popular, so yeah, I'll give her another try. But this one was just okay. Next, a really quick one that I read was Shortcuts by Molly Brooks, and this is book 3 and the final book in a graphic novel series called Sanity and Tallulah. And this is aimed more at middle grade readers, but I had read the first 2 books. They were gifted to me by a friend in publishing, and I grabbed the 3rd book from the library and figured I would just get that series finished. And it was fine. It was enjoyable. This is about 2 friends, Sanity and Tallulah, and they live on a space station and they get into all kinds of antics. I won't really talk about what happens in this one because, you know, it's the 3rd book in the series, so there's going to be lots of spoilers for other stuff that happens in the previous 2 books. But I decided not to rate this one because it's really not a book that is targeted at me as a reader. And ultimately, I was kind of just glad to be done with this series. I really enjoyed the first book. It was great. Second one was fine. Third one was also fine. To be honest, by the end of it, Tallulah is the biggest pain in the butt. She's so annoying. She just doesn't listen to anyone, causes all kinds of trouble, but like not in a cute kids will be kids way, in like a really annoying, just never listens to anyone and like ends up risking hundreds of lives kind of way, and it's really annoying. So yeah, I'm gonna move on from that because I don't have much else to say about it. It was fine. I'm sure middle grade readers would enjoy it a lot more than I did. Next up, I read Finna by Nino Cipri, and this was a fun little novella about basically like wormholes opening up in an IKEA. It's not an actual IKEA, but it is a fictional equivalent of an IKEA, and wormholes open up and a customer wanders through one day accidentally, and our main characters have to go find her and bring her back. I won't say much else about the book because it is quite short, so pretty much anything else I say will be spoilers for it, but it was silly and fun, and it wasn't great. It wasn't spectacular. It was just fine. It was an enjoyable read, and because it was so short, I was fine with how average it was, I guess. If it had been like a 400-page book, I don't know if I would have continued with it. But I gave it 3 stars. I know there is another book in the series that is kind of more like a companion novel. It doesn't follow the same characters, and if I could get it from the library, I would probably read it. I don't think I would pay for it, but I'd probably read it and check it out. It was fun. It was a really quick read. I read it in like one night, I think. So I enjoyed it. It was silly, but yeah, not much else to say about that one. Next, I read The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson, and this is a second book that follows The Kind Worth Killing, which I read a couple of months ago. And I had heard a lot of people that were disappointed by this book. So I went into it not expecting a ton out of it, and I'm glad because I didn't love it. Unfortunately, The Kind Worth Saving follows my least favorite character from The Kind Worth Killing. So I kind of already knew I wasn't gonna be getting a lot of joy out of this read because I didn't love the character that it's following. So, yeah, it was fine. It didn't have the same level of like, whoa, twists that were in The Kind Worth Killing. So it was just kind of an average mystery thriller. I enjoyed it. I listened to the audiobook, so I was able to get through it pretty quickly. So no regrets, but it was fine. I gave it 3 stars, and I honestly don't remember a ton of what happened in it. Next, I read Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valenti, and this is something that has been on my radar for so long, and I had it on hold at the library forever, and my hold finally came in, and I was so excited to read it. And I honestly am still thinking about how I feel about this book. Basically, it tells a story of what feels like a very Stepford Wives type of neighborhood. Everything is perfect. There are only 3 colors that they're allowed to paint their houses. There are all kinds of rules. Everything is just, everyone's happy all the time. Everyone says their life is perfect. There's manicured lawns and sunshine and happy wives that cook their husband's dinner every night and that kind of stuff. And there's this underlying current of something must be up here, and you're trying to figure out what it is. And then our main character, who is named, wait, is she named Sophie too? Sophia. Oh, okay. So I had Sophie in The Night She Disappeared and then Sophia in this book. Our main character of Sophia starts to uncover a couple of weird things, and she's wondering what is going on. She's trying to figure it out on her own, and then eventually she does learn the truth. And that is where the book lost me. This is a pretty personal feeling about it, I guess, but I did not like the turn that this book took. From looking at some Goodreads reviews, I think it seems to kind of divide people. Some people really, really liked it and thought it was super cool, and the other half of people are like, that was so dumb. I cannot believe you did that. So I personally, as soon as the twist was revealed, I completely lost interest. I was like, I don't want to read about this. I don't care. So that was unfortunate. It was a well-written book, but it lost me at about, I don't know, maybe like 75% of the way through when the twist was revealed. So I gave it 3 stars. Again, it was really, really short. It's a little novella, so I didn't mind too much that I had spent my time reading it because I think it was like under 100 pages. So it was a quick read, but ultimately I felt a little disappointed. And the last book I read this month is completely unrelated to the rest of them, and that is Yarnitecture by Jillian Moreno. And I have just been kind of slowly working my way through this, reading a few pages here and there, and just kind of learning about spinning, learning about how to make yarn, and all of the technicalities that come along with it. So I did not rate this book because it's more of a tool than a book, to be honest, but I do highly recommend it if you are interested in spinning and you want to learn more about the ins and outs of what turns fiber into yarn. So that is all I will say about that, because I just recommend that you check it out if you are interested in the topic at all. Alright, so that is all that I read in April. So until next time when we come back for our May reading wrap up, take care of you and I will see you later. Bye!